Hello and welcome to Financial Technology Frontiers. We are always bringing you something unique, something interesting. And today I am going to share with you something very inspiring that I have always felt that we should be doing, especially from the banking, financial services, and the technology perspective, where we want to really place the women in the forefront in the industry. So, friends, today I am going to speak to a wonderful woman leader from the technology space who has had a very strong career in spite of being a mother, in spite of being a wife, and a very strong career person who has risen to the top of being a senior vice president of product marketing at a company like OpenText, which is a leader in technology. Please join me in welcoming Rita Jackson, who is the Senior Vice President Product Marketing of OpenText. Rita, welcome to Financial Technology Frontiers.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Rita. So, as a part of our Women in Financial and Fintech Industry activities that we propose to do to empower women, we are trying to look at all the important areas where women need to be looked upon and where we really need to work with the ecosystem to build it. So, in your view, so if we are talking about women who have been in the workforce, who had to take a sabbatical, come back into the industry again. When you engage with such kind of women, what would be the ideal comeback or a welcome back measure that companies should adopt to absorb women into this workforce? And especially given that there would be skill gaps of for these women, how do they work around it? What is your experience been? You have been a mother, you have come back to work as well.
Yeah. So timely. I did do this. I took about 3.5 years off between my career. And I always called it, I retired from one career and started another career. Because
Wow.
as women, no matter how long of a career gap you take, especially in high tech and in the financial industry, there is a skill gap of some sorts, but a lot of it is perception. And one thing that I think people have to understand is when you leave the workforce, it's hard, right? It's a personal accomplishment, but yet you want to go do it for either it's to take care of your children, to take care of an ailing parent, or sometimes it's just because of a situation that you have that's personal. And then when you re-enter, there's a confidence challenge. So, just as much as the entering companies are having to figure out how to, embrace this employee, the employee also has a challenge of not feeling confident, of coming back because of the skill gaps, right? So one of the things that I've always seen is it's just open communication of understanding what the goals and the skills that are needed to do the job. And understand that sometimes when a woman comes back to work after whatever time frame, they probably have reached a certain plateau in their career. And when they're re-entering, it's hard to enter at that. So they have a little bit of an ego that they have to deal with as well. And some of the best advice I got when I exited the workforce the first time was one of my mentors, a gentleman, by the way, who came and said, "Hey, Rita, uh, you got here once, you'll get here again faster than you ever did before." Because, when you're challenged in learning new skills, you learn it on the job. Don't assume that it's not intuitive. And I think that's one of the biggest things, right? Don't treat people with, white gloves and all of that. Throw them in. It's baptism by fire is how I like to think about it, is the more, you're embracing the culture, the environment, and the technologies and everything, the skill gap becomes very small. We put a lot of pressure on it. And I feel like it happens, the amount of experience that they bring to the table versus the skills that have advanced is very small.
Interesting. So mentorship makes a lot of difference
Yes.
depending upon the right kind of mentor you get. And what does the mentor actually have to do? If you are a mentor today to a woman who is coming back to work, what would you do?
Advocate. I think that the very big thing is within the organization, advocate for the employee, and make sure that they're visible in the right places. And I think I do a lot of coaching. I sit and when I mentor a lot of the women, I don't have time to do it like every week, but if you do a monthly conversation of what's working and what's not, and actually listen as a mentor. Don't try to tell them what to do. Listen to where they're feeling like they need help and then guide them to the right places. Sometimes I don't know how to do it. I'll guide them to somebody else that can help them. And then boost their. I'm a big amplification advocate. When something happens as a mentor, as one of my mentees, I tell everybody so that it's my job as an executive to amplify my employees and everybody that's coming up in the ranks, because a lot of my peers will have no idea of the success. And every small success is a good success, right? It should be amplified.
Gratification and motivation of the people by.
Right.
Absolutely. Interesting concept. And you have also been rising from different levels to where you are today. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when a woman is rising, one of the important thing is, of course, there is a lot of bias in most of the organizations and the industry, and a lot of bottlenecks that come. So what are those key bottlenecks that you have seen, and how have you been overcoming this?
So a couple of the first ones, right? I think as women, we have to find our voice. We have to really find our voice. We have to lean in and we have to find our voice. A lot of times, and this happens to me a lot, I'm sitting around the table and I'm the only female. And quite honestly, I'm a lot of times the only minority female, to put it on top of that. And so what I've learned is every jump is because I've accomplished something or I've learned something new and I can add value in that opportunity. And my voice is just as important as the person sitting next to me. So I find that I always make sure that I have a point of view. I'm not talking to talk, but I have an opinion and I have a point of view. And I think that's really important. And my ask to all of my advocates out there that are, my male counterparts is just listen. What I find is that everybody's opinions are important to hear and to hear a different point of view. And that's what a lot of times women executives do. We have a lot of compassion just because of being mothers, and there's so many different things. Not to say that the men don't, because they're just as compassionate, but our listening style is a little different sometimes. And so I feel that when you enter the workforce and you're in a situation where it is different, find your voice, and don't back down. If you believe in something, push forward.
Interesting. I saw that something, one of those interesting posts where you have mentioned people don't listen to you just because you are scared to speak. But if you
Yeah.
have a point of view and if you have a value to add, there will definitely be somebody who would not somebody, but everyone would love to listen to you. So that was something very interesting that I could hear from one of your statements there.
Yeah, it's true. Have an opinion. I truly believe in that. Like, you have to add value to have a seat at the table. You have to have, you have to bring value. And just because you reached a certain rank and a title doesn't mean that you've earned the right at the table. A title is one thing, respect is earned, and a seat at the table is earned as well.
Super. And as OpenText or in your organization, how have you been empowering the women to elevate to higher
Yeah.
level?
So we have an incredible women's network here at OpenText, and we're on a journey too, right? Just like the banking, every technology industry is not where we want to be ideally. And I would say that one of the things that I do love about what OpenText does is we do believe in elevating the middle. And and I'm a firm believer. We talked about the reentrance. It's known across everywhere, right? That women at a certain point make a choice of either to continue or to, and it's a struggle if you become a working mother to do that. We provide a forum for women to communicate, to educate, to kind of collaborate together, and that helps because no matter where you are in your career or in your lifestyle, whether you're early entry, your mid-career, end of career, there's lots of different things that happen. So, and I personally mentor a ton of young women. I'm very
So
much about elevating the middle, because if you don't give them the opportunity, mentor and coach them and give them the connections, because networking is a big thing at a company, this size. they'll flounder, right? And they won't find their way. And so I think it's on us to help them, show them, what good looks like, and then help them find their way.
Super. So networking, connections, mentoring, and helping to elevate the women in the middle to the top. Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's a great encapsulation of what you have been doing. Now, when it comes to younger women who want to join the workforce, and how, according to you, is the importance of bridging the industry connections with internship, volunteer, or
Oh,
placement
really
opportunity?
important. Yeah. I have a millennial daughter, and she's in high tech as well. And
Mhm,
I feel everybody needs to explore, especially in your 20s, when they're young and their
mhm,
careers. I
mhm,
think internships is a great way to learn about whether you like it or not, whether it's an industry or a function, or, I mean, to learn the skills. I think college is an incredible opportunity if people choose to go that route. But college teaches you the cerebral things. They don't teach you the practicality of how to transfer what you've learned into how it can make an impact in whatever business you're in. I highly believe in internships. I know this is controversial, but I also believe in young talent moving around and learning different skills, whether it's within an organization, so internal or external, because what you might start out as might not be where you end at. I started out as an engineer. I programmed. Here I am running a product marketing organization for a $6 billion company. I would have never thought about that, you know, decades ago.
Superb. I think many of the corporations also do imbibe this culture of moving people across functions. Sometimes a
Mhm.
techie is going into HR or going
Yeah.
into marketing, and you don't know where is the kind of skill set kept for you, right?
Exactly. You know what you like and what you're not, passionate about. I ended up getting put into an operations role for about a year. I realized that I didn't like it very much.
Mhm,
I got thrown into, product management and then product marketing. That's how I got to where I am, is I was open.
mhm,
I always call them tools in your toolbox, because as a product marketer, you never go to school to learn product marketing. You kind of acquire the skills throughout your career. So there's tools, because you
mhm,
touch very many functions. So whether you're a programmer, you're a banker, you're HR, you're learning tools with every year, every job that you have. And I call them, your toolbox never gets full. You're always using it. And then sometimes you have to tighten the screws, and sometimes you have to loosen them. But they're tools that they never go away. And sometimes they're deep and sometimes they're broad. And that's the T thing, right? That we teach children at school, is you got to not only go deep in something, but you got to go broad. And I think that's how you become a well-rounded, not only employee, but executive and professional.
superb. Now, when you see the culture of innovation and entrepreneurship amongst women, which is now much more rampant, considering the fact that innovation startups are all a part of the day-to-day culture. How do you see this coming up very strongly today? And how is OpenText as a company also trying to inculcate this culture of entrepreneurship, especially amongst women? What are your thoughts on this?
So we're very fortunate in that our company is big enough that we can give the employees the opportunity to interview. So we have an internal job board that allows people to go in and network and look for roles that they want to do. So we like to foster not only, bringing mentoring people inside, but also, the external side that comes in. I believe in job. I've been trying to start this, and we rotate talent. The new entries. So you create an environment. And I know the development organization is very good at this, in that you rotate. I would say 1 to 2 to 5 years out of school into different roles, and you create a programmatic approach where it's not like just a month. You do a 6-month rotation and then another 6-month rotation. So you can actually learn the functions and then bring what you've learned back into what you maybe like to do. And so we're pretty good about that. And we have, every role is different, right? We have an ADE function, which is literally college graduates that come into the sales organization. I find from a product marketing, they're like the best people to bring in after 2 to 5 years. They're hungry, they're knowledgeable, they've been doing the hardest job there is in any corporation, which is picking up the phone and cold calling somebody to see if you like it. So they have tenacity. They've learned, right? They know the products, they know everything. So, I mean, don't knock age. I think age is just a number. I think
Yeah.
it's the experience that you get, no matter how old you are, that brings the value. And I think that's what I tell people. It doesn't matter how old you are. What's the experience that you bring to the table? What's the new things that you've tried that are keeping you constantly learning?
Interesting. And lastly, have you been creating any ecosystems of women amongst even your customers, not just your organization, your
We
customers
do.
and things?
Yeah, so we very fortunate. So we have when we do our big user conferences, we do have like a luncheon or an opportunity where we have all of our executives that come in and even executives from our companies, and we do like a panel of like a women, we call it Women at OpenText, and we open it up to at our conferences to our women, our customers, as well as partners, but we don't leave it to just women. We also call them allies. So what's beautiful about this is that, you're at a conference and it's a lot of times a lot more men than women. But when you open up this luncheon to talk about these topics that are very prominent in for women in leadership, you have quite a few gentlemen, that show up to support and to learn. And I think that's what's so magical about when doing things like this, where you create a network not only internally, but you bring that externally to the women that you touch in the executive roles across all of our ecosystem, so that we can learn from each other.
Superb. I think that is quite inspiring because ultimately, if you create an ecosystem, the ecosystem will build in around itself slowly and
Yeah,
steadily. It will
exactly. It
start
will.
building.
And women love to talk and network with other women. It really is. It's beautiful. And I'm also going to say that some of my advocates and mentors are men who are helping women elevate to the top. Because a lot of the men have daughters themselves. So when
Okay.
you think about it, if you're a father and you are a father of a daughter, you have a daughter, you want to make things easier for them, and you want to understand the challenges that she's going to have so that you can help her as well.
Superb. I think that's a great conversation we have had. Thank you so much for sharing all these deep insights.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Very much.